Vash stood on the sandy shores of Meridia, the scent of salt and brine filling his nostrils. He took a deep breath, feeling the exhilaration of freedom mix with the pangs of hunger gnawing at his stomach. Before him lay the vast cityscape of Meridia, a sprawling metropolis known for its grandeur and complexity. Setting off from the beach, Vash made his way through the outskirts of the city, his eyes wide with wonder and trepidation. The journey to the heart of Meridia was a daunting one, filled with winding streets and bustling avenues. Meridia was alive with the sounds of ships docking and departing, their masts creaking and sails fluttering in the wind. Merchants shouted their wares, fishmongers displayed their fresh catches, and sailors sang sea shanties as they worked. As he ventured further into the city, the architecture grew more opulent. The buildings, crafted from marble and stone, stood tall and proud, their facades adorned with intricate carvings and gilded details. Vash navigated through the maze-like streets, following the ebb and flow of the crowd, drawn ever closer to the heart of Meridia. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Vash arrived at the Grand Bazaar. The marketplace, renowned across the realms of Elysia, sprawled before him with its intricate network of stalls and alleys alive with the ceaseless flow of commerce and life. The Grand Bazaar was a spectacle of sights and sounds, merchants from distant lands hawking exotic wares, street performers captivating crowds with their talents, and the mingling aromas of spices and foods from across the seas. Silken banners fluttered overhead, their colors as diverse as the cultures they represented. Stalls overflowed with treasures from far-off kingdoms, gleaming jewels from Eldoria, fragrant spices from Solis, finely crafted weapons from Stonehelm, and intricate tapestries from Zephyria. The air was thick with the scent of incense and roasting meats, mingling with the sharp tang of the sea breeze. Vash's eyes widened in awe as he took in the grandeur of it all. Jugglers and acrobats performed daring feats, drawing applause and coins from the onlookers. Musicians played lively tunes on lutes and flutes, their melodies weaving through the hum of the crowd. The sheer diversity of people astounded him, sailors and traders, nobles and commoners, all mingling in this vibrant tapestry of life. As he navigated the bustling aisles, Vash's stomach growled louder with each passing moment. He passed by stalls piled high with freshly baked bread, juicy fruits and succulent meats. His mouth watered at the sight of them, but his pockets were empty. Driven by desperation, he began to look for an opportunity to steal some food, hoping to sate his hunger without getting caught. His stomach growled louder with each step, and he knew he had to find food. Driven by desperation, Vash's eyes settled on a stall laden with fresh fruits and bread. He edged closer, his heart pounding as he reached out to snatch a loaf. Just as his fingers brushed the bread, a firm hand clamped down on his wrist. "What do you think you're doing?" a gruff voice demanded. Vash's eyes darted up to see the stern face of the stall owner. Panic surged through him, and with a sudden twist he broke free and bolted through the crowd. He weaved through the maze of streets, the shouts of the vendor fading behind him. Vash didn't stop running until he was sure he wasn't being followed. Breathless and disoriented, he found himself in a quieter part of the city. His heart still raced, and the ache in his stomach reminded him of his desperate need for sustenance. For the next few days, Vash survived by staying out of sight and scavenging what he could. He learned quickly how to avoid the more watchful eyes of the marketplace guards and to find the corners of the Grand Bazaar where food was left unattended. Each night he found a new place to sleep, under bridges in abandoned buildings, or tucked away in the shadows of the city's labyrinthine alleys. Despite his efforts to avoid trouble, Vash's luck ran thin. On one such evening, as Vash wandered deeper into the bustling heart of the Grand Bazaar, he stumbled upon a group of youngsters gathered in a secluded corner. They were practicing songs and stories, their voices rising and falling in rhythmic harmony. Each youth was determined to be accepted into the prestigious Bards Guild of Meridia. This guild was not only an assembly of entertainers but also revered keepers of lore and skilled spies, their network of information spanning the entire realm. These particular youths aspired to join the Lyrican League, a distinguished yet lesser-known faction within the esteemed Bards Guild. Although not as renowned as others, the Lyrican League possessed a distinctive allure. Founded generations ago by the illustrious bard Tormak Lyrican, the League earned acclaim for its captivating street performances and storytelling. Tormak, a firm believer in the transformative power of music and narrative to uplift the common folk, imbued the League with a legacy of enchantment and joy through their mesmerizing public spectacles and itinerant shows. Vash was intrigued by their dedication and skill, and for a moment he forgot his dire situation. He lingered at the edge of their circle, watching them weave their stories and play their instruments. The melodies and tales transported him away from his hunger and exhaustion, if only for a brief respite. However, his presence was soon noticed. "Hey you, what are you doing here?" one of the youths called out, their tone suspicious. The speaker was a tall boy with a lute slung over his shoulder, his eyes narrowing as he stepped closer. Fear gripped Vash and he turned to run, but exhaustion and hunger had taken their toll. His legs felt like lead and his vision blurred. The group gave chase, their instruments and practice forgotten. It wasn't long before they caught up with him, surrounding him in a narrow alleyway in the bustling streets of the Grand Bazaar. Their faces were a mix of curiosity and hostility. Before Vash could plead, a blow to his stomach doubled him over, and he collapsed to the ground. The youths pounced on him, their kicks and punches fueled by a mixture of fear and anger. "Who are you? Why were you spying on us? Are you one of the Forsaken?" one demanded as they continued their assault. Vash curled into a ball, trying to shield himself from the blows. Just when he thought he couldn't endure any more, a new voice cut through the chaos. "Leave him be," it said, calm yet authoritative. The attackers paused, turning to see Silas, a lone thief known in the streets of the Grand Bazaar. Silas, not much older than Vash, had a reputation for causing trouble, especially with the bards. Silas's eyes gleamed with a mixture of amusement and menace as he assessed the situation. "Looks like you lot are having fun. Mind if I join?" Without waiting for an answer, he lunged at the nearest boy, catching him off guard with a swift punch to the jaw. The alley erupted into chaos as Silas used Vash's presence as a distraction to launch his own attack. He fought with a wild energy, clearly enjoying the brawl. The bards, taken by surprise, struggled to defend themselves against Silas's unexpected ferocity. Amidst the scuffle, Vash managed to crawl to the side, watching in awe as Silas took on the group. Despite his smaller size, Silas moved with agility and precision, quickly gaining the upper hand. "Get off him," Silas commanded as he delivered a final blow to the leader of the group. The bards, now nursing their wounds and clearly outmatched, retreated, casting angry glances at Silas. Breathing heavily, Silas turned to Vash, who was still huddled on the ground. "You all right?" he asked, his tone softer now, though his eyes still held a mischievous glint. Vash nodded, struggling to sit up. "Thanks," he managed to say, wincing from the pain. Silas shrugged, a smirk playing on his lips. "Don't mention it. I can't stand those bard wannabes." He extended a hand to Vash, helping him to his feet. "Come on, let's get out of here before they decide to come back with reinforcements." Vash, still catching his breath, scrambled to his feet and hurried after him. "Wait, why did they call me Forsaken?" Vash asked, his voice tinged with curiosity and confusion. "They probably thought you were from the House of the Forsaken," Silas replied without looking back. "It's an abandoned house where street kids live. A rough place, but it's home for some of us." Vash quickened his pace to keep up with Silas. "Is that where you live?" he asked, trying to ignore the pain from his recent beating. Silas nodded. "Yeah, I help gather food and goods for the house. It's not much, but we get by." A glimmer of hope lit up Vash's eyes. "Can I come with you? I can help." Silas shook his head. "I don't think so. Come on. I'm good at fixing things and doing chores. My time in the House of Mirrors taught me a lot," Vash pleaded. Silas halted abruptly, turning to face Vash with a raised eyebrow and a glimmer of skepticism. "You really think you can keep up? Everyone's got to pull their weight, and you'll need to learn to defend yourself. We can't have Forsakens getting beaten down by a bunch of lousy troubadours." Vash nodded earnestly. "I can learn. Just give me a chance. I'm really handy. I can fix things and clean. Anything you need." Silas pondered for a moment, eyeing Vash critically. Then, a smirk crossed his face. "All right, come on then. But don't slow us down." A smile spread across Vash's face as he followed Silas through the winding streets of the Grand Bazaar. For the first time in a long while he felt a sense of belonging, a glimmer of hope that perhaps his new life in Meridia would be better than the one he left behind.